Pokemon Legends ZA is here, and let me be honest, this was a game that I was not really sold on throughout its marketing cycle. I thought the gameplay honestly looked pretty dull from a lot of the trailers, and the fact that the entire game was being confined to just one city, I was a little worried about this game. But after rolling credits and playing for over 20 hours by the time I hit that point, and dipping a little bit into the competitive side of the game and the post-game content, I can safely say that this is probably the best Pokemon game that I've ever played. So today I will be going over everything in Pokemon ZA, spoiler free of course, and giving my honest review of this game. Now for those of you who don't know, I am a massive Pokemon fan. I've played every game in the mainline series, and I have hundreds of hours in competitive. I have another channel dedicated completely to Pokemon. But I'm not one of those people that is unaware of some of the faults that Pokemon games have, and I'm going to highlight a lot of those issues with this game in this review. So let's start with the big thing that everybody's talking about in this particular game, the performance and the graphics. This is the big discourse on Twitter. As far as Pokemon Legends ZA runs on the Nintendo Switch 2, it's a flawless experience. It is 60 frames per second. There are literally no hiccups at all throughout this entire game. It's just buttery smooth the entire experience, which isn't something we should be so happy about from a Nintendo game, but I had 900 hours on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet before Switch 2 even came out, and we all know how badly that game ran. Now, as far as the graphics go, this game is bright and colorful, and the Pokemon models look absolutely fantastic, and the move animations are all really well done. This game just kind of pops. But the topic online and the conversation around the graphics revolve around things like the grass textures, or the building textures, or how the windows look on the building, and why are we worried about this stuff? Yeah, like these things aren't super realistic looking and really aren't that good looking in general, but I don't really know. They're just kind of fine to me. I mean, how much time am I actually spending looking at a window? Like, I could be doing this, or I could be out actually catching Pokemon and playing the game. I don't know. I feel like that's just the normal thing to do in a Pokemon game, is actually play the game, not stare at a window. I don't know. It just feels like these like building textures and the look of the grass are really super unimportant in a Pokemon game. But now that we've gotten the topic of conversation out of the way regarding grass textures and windows, let's talk about something that actually matters, and that's the story. Now, like I said, I will not spoil anything, but I can safely say I was pleasantly surprised by this game's story. I feel like with many of the recent entries in the Pokemon series, they've done a really good job at diving into some more mature themes in their stories, like Arvid and his Mabosstiff throughout the story of Scarlet and Violet, or the professor literally being killed by the legendary Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. And I'm happy to report that Legends ZA follows that trend. It has a lot more serious moments and implications throughout its story, while also still having some goofy and arguably some cringy moments, as is common with Pokemon stories, but as a whole, I thought it was very well done. The cutscenes look great and actually look like a modern video game, which is crazy considering we're talking about a Pokemon game, and I was shocked how much this game tied into X and Y stories specifically. Now, I was wondering what this game was actually going to do story-wise, because Legends Arceus was going back to the past to talk about Sinnoh lore, and this game was more set in a present time. But as I played through the game, I understood more and more what was happening. It seems like the Legend series is focusing on unanswered lore bits all throughout the Pokemon timeline, and this game made that so apparent as I played through ZA and I saw what was unraveling before me. The one thing I will say that is my biggest gripe with this particular game is the lack of voice acting. There are so many epic moments where I was just sitting there and being like, yeah, this would have been way cooler with actual words being spoken rather than just the text on screen. Or there was like these goofy moments where characters would run away, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, if they were screaming and actually made noise, it would make more sense here. It's a real minor complaint, but honestly, it's 2025, Game Freak. What are we doing? Add some voice acting to these games. Now let's move on to the most important part of the game, and that's the actual gameplay of Pokemon Legends ZA. And let's address the big elephant in the room, and that's the new battle system. Now in Legends ZA, it does away with the turn-based system that we are so accustomed to in mainline Pokemon games. And yes, ZA is a mainline game for those that are confused. And this game has more of an action-based system where you are moving your trainer around while commanding your Pokemon. And originally, I didn't think this looked very fun. The trailers really did not do this battle system justice. But once I got hands-on with it, even after the first battle, I thought, oh, this is kind of cool. I actually streamed the first 5.5 hours of my playthrough, and I immediately, first battle, I was like, oh, this is kind of tight. Oh, I think my tail whip ended. Tackle it again. Yo, this is actually cool. Hold on. I know it's just the first battle, but this is actually cool. And as I played more and more of this game and learned this battle system, I came to absolutely love it. It reminds me a lot of other games like Xenoblade or even tap target MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, where you're controlling the character on screen but waiting for cooldowns to go off in order to attack. You can roll around and dodge attacks sent at you by wild Pokemon, and your active Pokemon also follows you around, allowing you to have it dodge attacks by moving around the location you're in, making this game feel a lot more like the anime, which just hit the right chord for someone like myself who grew up watching the Pokemon anime. However, I will say, this system is not perfect. Many times my Pokemon would get caught on something running up to do an attack, or would be standing on the other side of a bush or something and hit the bush instead of the opposing Pokemon I was targeting. So there are some issues, but these hiccups in the battles aren't a constant issue. They happen here and there, so it's not something that's killing the experience, but you will notice it from time to time. Now, outside of battling Pokemon, there's always catching Pokemon, right? And this can be done in the wild zones located throughout the city where wild Pokemon live, or some wild Pokemon are even out on the streets for you to catch. And catching Pokemon in this game feels very good in my opinion. It brings back a lot of the things in Legends Arceus that I really liked. Specifically, you can sneak up on Pokemon and throw a Pokeball at them without even battling them, which I'm a huge fan of. You can kind of just skip the nonsense of battling, but if you do battle them, you can take them down to 0 HP and you'll have a brief second to throw a Pokeball and make an attempt to catch the battled Pokemon. Both ways feel great, and the biggest thing is that the shiny noise indicator is back that was in Legends Arceus, as well as a visual sparkle effect so you can hear the shiny Pokemon when they spawn, which is super nice for accessibility. Now, like I said earlier, this game takes place entirely in one city, which originally I was quite skeptical of, but honestly they sold me on it. Lumio City feels big in this game. There are tons of wild zones full of Pokemon to catch, plenty of locations to visit with a variety of colorful characters to meet. There is stuff literally everywhere on the ground, whether on street level or on the many scaffolding construction sites that you can parkour on throughout the world to collect even more items. There's stuff everywhere for you to find, and the way you can explore the rooftops and the buildings makes this world feel even bigger and denser, which is a huge plus for a game that is taking place in just one location. Although I will admit that the rooftop traversal, at least in my opinion, can be a little bit annoying because it can be hard to figure out exactly where you need to go to get up on the right roof, especially for some of those main story missions. So while I think the rooftops being accessible is cool and a nice feature, I had some gripes with it personally. There are also some sewers that can be explored, containing even more Pokemon, adding even more to explore in this city. And the day-night cycle is really nice because it not only changes which Pokemon are spawning in the wild zones in the world around you, but at night the ZA Royale takes place, and this is a battle tournament where you do as many battles as possible before the sun comes up to earn points, which allows you to climb the ranks from Z to A. And this minigame was not only a lot of fun due to the battles and bonus challenges that you would find during it, but it was also a great way to earn money and resources while playing through the game. I found myself really enjoying the ZA Royale quite a bit and thought it was a really well done system and was handled and tied into the story very well. Now, the big thing in this game is that there's actually no new Pokemon. All the Pokemon found in this game have been present in older titles, but Mega Pokemon made their return and new Mega Pokemon have been added, which is what spices up this Pokedex. Personally, I was pretty happy with no new Pokemon. I have plenty of my old favorites in this game and I didn't need new Pokemon, but the new Mega Pokemon added a nice way to freshen things up for some of those older favorites that I have. The big rogue mega battles that you see in a lot of the trailers are a huge part of this story. These are big boss battles where you have to take down a Mega Pokemon, and I thought these were pretty cool. Each one had their own mechanics, and you had to make sure the trainer wasn't getting hit by attacks, otherwise you'd get knocked out. However, despite thinking that these were cool, I do have some issues with this. First off, you do a lot of these throughout the story, and like I said, they are cool, but now I'm in the post game and there really just aren't any of these happening, which just feels weird because this was a huge marketing component to this game. Like, they demoed this a ton, but unlike raids in the past games like Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, it seems like these are just being left to the main story, which I find very odd. My second issue is that these aren't multiplayer at all. And yeah, I get it, for the main story this makes sense. Them being single player makes sense because you don't want to spoil a mega encounter for someone who isn't as far in the story as you, but for the post game it would have been so cool to go in and do these with friends and earn additional rewards. So the lack of a multiplayer component to this particular feature for these mega battles is a huge swing and a miss in my opinion. Now, there's also a ranked mode in this particular game, which was really shocking to me because Pokemon Legends Arceus had no multiplayer component at all. You really couldn't do multiplayer competitive battles in that game. And as a competitive Pokemon player, the fact that this game has it was really exciting to me. The ranked competitive mode in ZA is a free-for-all battle between 4 players, including you, where you battle to see who can knock out the most Pokemon in 3 minutes. And honestly, this game mode is an absolute blast. It's crazy, chaotic fun, and honestly, it's pretty laid back. However, there is some strategy to team building and training your Pokemon that can get you ahead in these battles, and being that the normal training system for Pokemon in the form of EVs and IVs are in this game, I can see myself dumping a ton of time into competitive play and training up different Pokemon and just having a great time with this game mode. And honestly, I feel like this is a really solid way, and I kind of think of it as baby's first competitive Pokemon game where it's so simple and laid back, and yes, it doesn't tie into the normal competitive scene like with the traditional battle mode, but the act of training Pokemon is very similar, if not the exact same for most instances in this game. So it's a good way for people to learn how to build competitive Pokemon and be able to apply that knowledge to the actual competitive games, which I think is a really cool feature. So despite my many gripes with Pokemon Legends ZA, I think I can safely say that this is the most fun I've had with a Pokemon game in my entire life and is probably my favorite Pokemon game. The story was an absolute blast and had some heavier, more mature moments that really took me by surprise, and tons of callbacks and direct references to previous titles and characters, which I absolutely loved throughout my playthrough. The new battle system is a ton of fun to partake in, and the ZA Royale is a great minigame to showcase that new battle system. Competitive is also just so much hectic, crazy fun that I know I will be spending more time doing that, and the layout of the city makes this game feel so dense and full of things to discover. I already dumped 24 hours into this game and I still have so much more to do. I have to finish my Pokedex, I have to shiny hunt, I have to build more competitive Pokemon for ranked mode, and I have to complete all the side missions. And this game is just bursting with content, and with how much fun it is and how much fun I'm having, I can't recommend it enough. And honestly, after playing all of this and wanting more and wanting to go back and finish everything else, it has me so excited for the DLC that's already announced for this game. I absolutely cannot wait to see what new features and what new stuff they bring in with the DLC in this game that I'm already enjoying so much. That's coming in February, so not too long to wait for that. So that's just really exciting as well. But genuinely, for what we got already, this game is stellar. And if you are a fan of Pokemon, even if you maybe don't love the traditional battling system and you were looking for a way to get back into Pokemon, I can't recommend this game enough. It is so much fun. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. Those are my thoughts on Pokemon Legends ZA for the Nintendo Switch 2. Let me know in the comments below what your guys' thoughts are. If you're playing this game, if you're planning to pick this game up, let me know everything like that. If you want to see more ZA stuff, I'm actually going to be doing some videos on the Pokemon channel talking about how to get into competitive, doing some stuff like that. And I'm going to be kind of loosely doing some Pokemon stuff over there. So if you're into more Pokemon stuff, be sure to check out that channel. But like I said, that is it for this video. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. It helps me out, helps the video out, and helps the channel out immensely. But until next time, peace.